about to get it back. We 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 all want it back.
Wojnarowski of ESPN just announced that Jordan Poole has secured a massive $140 million four-year payday with the Golden State Warriors. This is incredible news, but it's not really a shock to many of you watching because you already knew this was coming. We talked about this in a couple of prior videos that after the Tyler Hero contract, and even before that, Poole knew he would be getting one of the most lucrative contract extensions on the team. As a matter of fact, after helping the Warriors win the 2022 NBA championship, both Poole and Wiggins showed a lot of excitement about their pending contract extensions. Jordan Poole's, however, was one of the most anticipated extension signings of this year. After Poole's hot start to the 2022 season and continuous high level of play throughout, including a bid for the Most Improved Player of the Year, this topic became one of discussion. Back in March, talks about the extension hit its stride when Poole's performance forced Bob Myers to take questions regarding Poole's worth as a player for the franchise. Back then, the talks surrounded a four-year, $80 million extension. Things have clearly come a long way since then as Poole played himself into a bigger contract, a whopping $60 million more than what was initially thought would be offered. Let me make this clear. This contract amount was mostly driven by the Tyler Hero contract, and you can bet they took all factors into account when making this offer. Jordan Poole's agent would not negotiate for anything less than Hero because, as I've said before, Poole is in fact the better player. We now see how much more the Warriors actually value Jordan Poole. Now, while some of you weren't shocked, if at this same point 2 or 3 years ago I or anyone else would have said that Jordan Poole would get a $140 million contract extension, we'd have immediately been sent off to a mental institution. That just goes to show you how incredible of a signing this has been. Up to this point, Poole was on a 4-year, $10 million contract. He's now making 14 times as much money as he was last year. This goes to show you how much value the Warriors had from Poole last year. Could you imagine getting a pay raise 14 times what you're making now? Since when have courtside baddies have this much impact on a player's pockets? Well, I'm sure they have. They just usually leave you with less money than you started with. One thing I am wondering, however, is how much of an impact the recent spat with Dre had on Poole's extension. I know this is probably a question on a lot of people's minds because it's definitely on mine. Considering the timing of all of this, I'd say there was definitely an impact. If you've been following the news, you'd see that Jordan Poole seemed to be cool with the team's direction and having Dre back on the floor and even dapped him up pregame. It's clear the two had discussions, and not just discussions between the two, but also with the team. Underpaying Poole would undoubtedly have sent him right into free agency, and no one could blame him. So not only did they have to make up for that, but they also had to make sure Poole knew he was a part of the core of the team, which was also mentioned during the Warriors' final preseason game against Denver. Poole is now legitimately locked in with the Warriors when it comes to the team direction and players they sign. This doesn't explicitly mean they'll get Poole in on discussions regarding player signings, but whomever they sign moving forward will have to fit around Poole. Did I mention they found this guy at the tail end of the first round of the draft? He was passed on 27 times by 25 different teams. So despite the apparent on-court camaraderie, a term Draymond prefers to use rather than trust, I don't think Poole is doing this with any personal feelings attached. I think he still has an issue with Dre, but as Dre said, they're both professionals, they're doing what they need to do to win a championship for the Warriors. This is what they're being paid to do. This very statement was made by Dre in his first interview back after taking a break from the team. So what you're seeing on TV, before the games, during the games, and after the games, it isn't because these guys are now cool with each other or are on good terms. They're doing this with respect for the team goals this year, and that's to win a championship. If nothing else, the issue with Dre ensured Poole wasn't taking anything less than Tyler Hero on a contract, so I say he was probably getting somewhere around maybe 134 to 136, but had a few mil slapped on to soften the blow. So we see Poole gets paid $35 million a year, and he's definitely the next big thing. But are we forgetting something?
Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish. Exactly, they forgot about Dre.
What about Draymond's contract extension? Poole's extension has big time implications for an extension talk with Draymond, but based on what Dre said recently, not only is there no extension for him this year, but he's not even going to talk about it. Now, he phrased it nicely and said in that same interview that I mentioned earlier that he wasn't going to be talking about his extension and contract details when he's trying to win a championship, and honestly, that's the professional thing to do. If guys are too busy talking about money, how much time are they really able to put in focused on what we need to do on a nightly basis, which is winning? It was hard enough for Draymond to talk about the Warriors winning on his own podcast without getting heat from the fan base that he should focus on playing the games instead of his off-court dealings. Should the Warriors be concerned about Draymond's efforts after Poole signed his contract? Probably not. I think Dre will be able to pull his big boy pants on and play like he always has every year he has an opportunity to win a championship, and it's never been more clear this year considering the Dubs are currently the defending champs and still got better over the summer. There have been rumors that Dre has no plans on playing with the Warriors past this year, and this could have some credence to it. He has a player option on year 4, which is the 2024 season, and that's not that far away when you think about it. Dre could take his talents elsewhere, and a lot of people are under the impression he wants to play with LeBron James, whom Dre this year started praising for absolutely no reason. The two started hanging out quite often, and the bromance that has developed hasn't been making Warrior fans comfortable. The fight with Poole and then the contract extension, along with the tension in the fan base, has forced all eyes to be on Draymond Green, and to some extent still Jordan Poole this year. I mean, for crying out loud, he's treating an opponent better than his own teammate. People will want to see how the two interact and whether or not they think this will cause chemistry issues with the two. I don't see the chemistry being an issue, as you're not out here playing on emotion regarding off-court issues. They're playing to win and will make the right plays regardless of whether they like someone or not. Kobe and Shaq were known for not really getting along with each other, but the two led the Lakers to multiple championships. I think going forward, the more important issue will be if Draymond takes an issue with making less money than Poole. This is interesting for a number of reasons, but the first one is that Dre would be the only player in the core 3 making less money than a guy coming off the Warriors bench. That does a bit of damage to the ego and could force Draymond out the door. Even if he says it doesn't, Dre says he believes he's a max player, and if he's getting less than a Wolverine who's not even in the starting lineup, he's likely to have some personal exception to that. Then you wonder, does he think he'll get more elsewhere? I think despite the bluster that Draymond is a realist and he knows he won't get paid more by going anywhere else. I expect him to not cause much trouble this year off the court. On the court, he'll still be a menace, however, as that has always been a part of his persona. The year he has a player option, though, is something that's going to be interesting to watch play out. If the Warriors don't win, I think Dre is going to look at another team willing to pay him. A lot of people are thinking Lakers, but I bet you Jordan Poole's salary that the Portland Trailblazers, whom are intently watching this saga unfold, will be looking to pick up Draymond if he even has so much as a thought of moving on from the Warriors. If this happens, don't forget where you heard it first. Portland would be the only team willing to pay him as much as, or maybe even more than the Warriors, as this would put Dame and possibly a developing Anfernee Simons in a situation similar to that of the 2015-2016 Warriors. Dre will be a bit older by then, so it won't exactly be the same, but Portland is looking for any and every opportunity for Dame to stay and win a ring. This would be their chance. The other thing is that Dre has some media aspirations and signed with Turner Sports January of this year. If he doesn't play well enough to contribute to the Warriors winning a championship, or they lose, he could also take a bigger focus on that while taking his player option and making $27 million for his last year. I think Draymond knows what time it is and will be doing what he can to set himself up, win or lose. So let me know what you guys think about Poole's extension. Did his payment get padded enough to stay despite the issue with Dre? Does Dre re-sign with the Warriors after the current contract is up? And do the Warriors get Poole on fire this year? This should be very interesting going forward, honestly, so please respond your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Till next time, swish.